Hey there, Dandy fans! It's Mealia here, aka Ensign Zach, among with a ton of other characters. And welcome to my humble abode. This is the majority of my collection. As some of you may or may not know, I am a huge and avid collector of toys and comic books. It's part of the reason why I tend to be so reference based when I'm on stage, or if I jump into fun and exciting characters. These are usually where I've gotten them from. I have a super severe case of dyslexia. They found out like later in my educational career, if you will, around grade 8 or 9. But when I was a kid, I really couldn't read. In around 1992, I'm going to say 1992 is a good marker. You had things like Batman, X-Men, and Spider-Man come out as cartoons. Or sorry, like give me a year or two within there for the true fans out there. And I really wanted to learn those guys' backstories. So my mom would go to the store and she would try to find me X-Men and Spider-Man comics. And even though I couldn't read all of the words, that's what I've always loved about the artwork of comic books. Is the artwork will tell you the story along with the actual writer's story as well. So as a kid, that really started to help me gain some confidence. Learning about a guy like Beast was absolutely huge for me. Beast was a very intelligent but misunderstood individual. Anyone who knows Beast, he was big, blue, and furry, but he also had doctorates and always wanted to progress the connections between mutants and humans. So I really connected with him as a kid because I've always been a really big and friendly guy, but sometimes misunderstood, especially in school. Like, picture a substitute teacher trying to get me read. I'd be like, ha! You can get on out of here. I don't read for anybody. I started collecting comics in the 90s, but I wasn't a 90s collector. I mean, I read the X-Men run, but I saw too much coming out too fast, and I was like, screw this, I don't want to do this. So I actually started collecting old comics. I was that weird, like 10 or 12-year-old kid that just absolutely loved to find old reader copies of books. I mean, I bought this later on, but books like that were my go-to. So this is one of our fighting forces. This is issue 121, but it's the introduction of Heller. This is a really early, strong female character that not a lot of people know about. I mean, when you think of strong female characters in comic books and you think older, you might think of Wonder Woman. You might think of, Batwoman. But she was one of the characters that literally came out as tough as one of the guys. Between the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the comic book readership used to be closer to 50-50, so 50% male and 50% female. But after and during the during World War II and wars that happened after that, I'm not a huge historian aside when it comes to comic books. You'll find that there's a bit of a shift. Comic book heroes were always masculine, but there was much more like masculinity thrown onto to the male characters and a lot more femininity thrown on to the female characters. I like seeing a badass female role model, and I think it's super important. Hopefully, we're with the diversity that's coming out in comic books, we're going back to more of a 50-50 because there's a lot of strong role models out there that haven't been tapped into in the past like 30 or 40 years. So our fighting forces is one that I'd love to see come back because and made into a movie or a TV show, just because of people like Heller.